Anyone fascinated by the natural world has probably wondered why some animals have such strange-looking sense organs. The elephant with its huge ears, the antennae of a butterfly, which up close look like feathers, the snake with its split tongue. And what about less obvious enhancements, like the sensory cells on a crocodile's skin? Surely these evolutionary traits aren't just for decoration. In fact, the size, shape, and location of these animal sense organs is all for a purpose. And just like us, animals rely on their senses to communicate with each other, find their way around, stay safe, and most importantly, to find food. When you see how superior some animal senses are compared to those of humans, you might wonder how we ever managed to stay on top of the food chain. Animal super senses. You won't believe what's possible. In this episode, we'll explore the animal sense of sight, and you'll see there's a lot more to this than meets the naked eye. The human imagination is limited when it comes to animal senses. People with good vision are sometimes called eagle-eyed, but eagles can see a fish from many dozen meters away. Scientists believe that the first sets of eyes evolved around 540 million years ago, after an extinction event. Their original purpose was as straightforward light-detecting organs. With evolution, eyesight has come a long way. Today, vision is a critically important sense. Only you won't believe how some animals see the world. We often talk about a bird's eye view without stopping to consider what that means. But the eyesight of birds, such as eagles, falcons, and owls, is several times sharper than ours. Eagles can spot rabbits from miles away, while hawks and buzzards scan the earth from heights of 10 to 15,000 feet looking for tasty rodents. And once spotted, these birds can dive at speeds of over 100 miles per hour and still keep their target in focus. To match that kind of speed and agility, humans have to build jet fighter planes. The eagle eye is among one of the most fascinating in the animal kingdom. As an eagle descends from the sky to attack its prey, muscles in their eyes continually adjust the curvature of their cornea and lens to maintain an accurate focus on their target during approach and attack. The Nanking kestrel is common in open country in Australia. It hunts during the day for insects, mice, and small birds. Like all falcons, the kestrel has relatively large eyes. Not only do they have an elongated strip of dense light receptors, they also have two circular fovea as well. The circular ones are in a pit, and this acts like a telephoto lens, magnifying the image. The Nanking kestrel will hover above its prey from a height of 50 feet, detecting food that may be only a few centimeters in length. It's certainly an impressive feat. This incredible eyesight makes them extremely effective hunters. But kestrels have another weapon in their sensory arsenal. They can see ultraviolet light. By following the ultraviolet light naturally reflected off the scent and urine trails left behind by rodents, they can track down their prey. Now, you might take one look at an owl and think it doesn't look particularly dangerous. Just be glad you're not a worm. Owls' eyes are large, often weighing the same as humans. We also know they have forward-facing eyes, which give owls stereoscopic vision, very useful in judging distances. Oddly enough, the best way for small creatures to stay safe from an owl may actually be to move towards it and not away. As it happens, owls are long-sighted. The breed of owl who has the keenest daytime eyesight is called the eagle owl, a tribute to just how sharp-sighted eagles are. The eagle's vision is much sharper than ours, operating a bit like a telephoto camera lens. Just imagine being able to see an ant on the pavement from atop a 10-story building. That's the eagle way. One animal that birds of a different feather must always be on the lookout for is, of course, the cat. That'd be cats of all shapes and sizes, actually. Because from the mightiest lion to the most placid domestic cat, most felines have superb night vision. But of course, it's the big cats, such as tigers and lions, which have the most powerful night eyes, something which enables them to hunt under the cover of darkness. Cats also have a reflective layer behind their eyes, known as a tapetum. It enhances their eyesight in reduced light circumstances. One visible effect of this are the bright, shining eyes that stare back at you when you point a flashlight at a cat. Not all cats are nocturnal, though. Cheetahs are fast daytime killers. They don't need the trickery necessary for nocturnal sight. The cheetah thrives in areas of open terrain and savannah. When prey is spotted, they use their phenomenal speed to give chase. Their exceptional eyesight, along with their speed, allows them to be such effective predators. But what makes the cheetah's eyes so super powerful? Mammals have a layer at the back of the eye where sensory cells respond to incoming light. On this layer, there is an area that is denser in sensory cells, called the fovea. And here, the cheetah is formidable too. The elongated shape of the cheetah's retinal fovea gives it ultra-sharp wide-angle vision, enabling them not only to chase their prey, but also make sudden turns with near-perfect accuracy. It is thought that the dark tear marks beneath their eyes may also enhance their vision by cutting down on the sun's glare. Cheetahs just don't go running around at top speed on a whim. They deploy their keen eyesight to scan the environment for signs of prey. With its distinctive spotted coat providing camouflage in the high and dry grass, its speed and agility, plus those unforgiving eyes, the cheetah is one dangerous customer. Now, of course, there's one big cat that seems to rule over all of them, at least as humans perceive things. But you don't become known as the king of the animals unless you have finely tuned senses, and that's where the lion lords over most other predators. Their eyesight is a significant factor, especially when the sun goes down over the savannah. While in daylight hours, a lion's sight is said to be about level with ours. At nighttime, they shift gear. You see, lions are believed to have 8 times better night vision than we do. Lions apparently see things in blues and greens. And while they will be lost in a completely pitch-black room, for example, there's a lot of moonlight and starlight on the African plains. And it is this which guides them, usually, to their next midnight snack. But let's not forget their not-so-distant cousin, the cat. This includes feral felines, such as this particular Australian wildcat, but also ordinary household domestic cats. Cats are by far the most active at dawn and dusk. The term for this is crepuscular, in case you ever wondered if there was a word to describe their frantic activity at sunrise and sunset. Night vision comes in useful at these hours, and cats' eyes have 6 to 8 times more rod cells, sensitive to low light, than humans do. Cats have greater range of peripheral vision too, so in the corner of their eye they can spot that trembling mouse hiding in the corner. The elliptical shape of cats' eyes, larger corneas, and the bright tapestry make them natural-born night stalkers. This cat certainly doesn't look as if he's going to let his prey get away, and its patience and persistence can be weapons too. And now, we examine an animal which seems to break all the rules. It can change skin color and look in 2 directions at the same time. There are around 160 species of chameleons dispersed across the globe in rainforests and deserts, from the Middle East to Sri Lanka, though half of those species live on the island of Madagascar. These lizard kings vary greatly in size, from a length of just 15 millimeters to 68 centimeters, and have coiled tongues that are sometimes twice the length of their body, and can feed on insects by using their tongues like ballistic missiles. To accurately use such a weapon, chameleons need superior sight. Eyes are mounted on conical turrets that can move independently of each other, and upper and lower eyelids are joined, with only a pinhole large enough for the pupil to see through. The structure of their eyes gives the chameleon 360-degree vision. Working like a tiny telephoto camera lens, their eyes focus super fast, zooming in on targets at phenomenal speeds. When prey is spotted, both eyes can be focused in the same direction, and the result is a combination of sharp stereoscopic vision and incredible depth perception. As if that wasn't enough, chameleons can see both visible and ultraviolet light. Chameleons exposed to UV light apparently become more social animals and even show more interest in reproduction. Your humble, everyday bumblebee comes with ultraviolet vision. In all but a very few rare cases, UV light, or ultraviolet radiation, is invisible to the human eye. These waves come at different frequencies or wavelengths. They lie on a spectrum from longest wavelengths to the shortest at the other end. Our brains interpret the different wavelengths as colors. But humans can only see a very small part of this spectrum. Most of the light in the universe is invisible to us, but not to honeybees. Bees, like many other insect species, see from approximately 300 to 650 nanometers. In simple terms, this means they cannot see the color red, but at the lower end of the scale, they can see the ultraviolet spectrum, which humans cannot. It is no coincidence that many flowers have ultraviolet color patterns. These are patterns invisible to the human eye, but which catch the eyes of the bee. Bees depend on nectar and pollen, which means they have no choice but to find flowers. Some of the ultraviolet patterns actually look a bit like helicopter landing pads. It's as if they're being directed to landing zones where they'll find the part of the plant with the most nectar and pollen. True, bees have an acute sense of smell, but the bee's super sight is what detects flowers at a distance. Every time a bee drops in, some of the pollen gets stuck to the little creature, which means it'll probably deposit it later in another flower. And so, the circle of life continues. Bee eyesight has evolved to be in tune with flowers, but also, plants in flower have evolved in order to attract bees which they need, in order to transmit pollen from one plant to another. Put succinctly, that's how they reproduce. So if anyone still talks about the birds and the bees these days, that's how it all got started. Polarization is another amazing visual super sense, one that belongs to one of the most fantastic creatures to grip the human imagination. But now, we turn to the place even darker and more mysterious, and that's the ocean and the ocean floor. For octopi, the super sense of polarized sight is critical, aiding and abetting their search for prey, but also enabling them to communicate with their fellow creatures. The chromatophores and iridescent cells on the skin of an octopus create visual patterns that transmit signals from one octopus to all the other octopi that happen to be in range. These chromatophore patterns change depending on variables such as whether it's mating season, or for example, if the octopus is alarmed. These changes in pattern are how octopi communicate with one another. But polarized vision also allows them and other cephalopods to zone in on otherwise transparent prey, like jellyfish. The octopus is, of course, an invertebrate. It literally has no spine. It is also a cephalopod, an exclusively marine creature. Cephalopods are characterized by their bilateral body symmetry, which in everyday terms means they look roughly the same on one side as they do on the other. They have a prominent head and several large tentacles attached to their body. 8, of course, in the case of the octopus. Squid and cuttlefish are also cephalopods. Like the octopus, they too can distinguish the polarization of light. The octopus is considered one of the most intelligent of invertebrates. The octopus's eye develops an invagination, or in-pocketing of the skin. Be that as it may, each octopus eye has a retina, a cornea, an iris, a lens, and a fluid-filled interior, and is quite a piece of evolutionary engineering. And now, on Super Senses, a fish like no other. The archer fish, which is usually found in fresh water, is quite unlike any other fish because the archer fish finds its prey living outside of the water. Insects, butterflies, spiders, and other small creatures are the archerfish's habitual prey, and it typically searches for victims resting on branches or twigs just above the water's surface. The clever archerfish then positions itself underneath its prey, and with the pinpoint accuracy of a sharpshooter, knocks it off the branch and its perch, with the blast from a powerful jet of water shot from its mouth. Archerfish are remarkably accurate, usually hitting their intended target on the very first shot. The hapless creature then falls into the dip, and the triumphant archerfish swims to the surface long enough to retrieve its meal, with the satisfaction of a job well done. Their eyes are able to correct for the way light distorts and bends as it enters the water. It's the unique structure of their eyes that gives them a remarkably accurate aim. Recent research has found that the archerfish has parts of its retina tuned to whether it's looking at the aquatic or aerial field of view. The bottom part of the retina looks up, which means the archerfish is looking out of the water, and the top of the retina looks down as the archerfish looks below the water surface. One of the most peculiar-looking animals of land, sky, or sea, the mantis shrimp has possibly the most complex visual system on this entire incredible planet. As it scuttles along, looking like a particularly large and crustaceous caterpillar, the mantis shrimp's eyes don't miss a trick. They have compound eyes, for one thing. A compound eye consists of hundreds or even thousands of individual photoreceptor units. The image perceived by the owners of compound eyes is a combination of the input from these eye units. Just to make things more interesting, the mantis shrimp's compound eyes are mounted on mobile stalks, which move independent of each other. It can detect ultraviolet and infrared, and all of this is achieved, the experts reckoned, without any intervention from its minuscule brain. Well, that's just about it for this episode of Animal Super Senses. The way animals see the world has offered us fascinating insight to the richness and complexity of life. We've seen things from a bird's eye view and used our ultraviolet vision underwater. We've had the night vision on while we roamed the African plains and met the chameleon, who can see every which way at the same time. And we'll see too in our next episode how animal super senses can take you to some interesting places.